Subscribe our channel. Stay till the end of the stories for more twist and turn. Comment us about what kind of stories you like to hear. I, 26 male, thinks my wife, 25 female, is or was cheating on me with her cousin. Alright, it's a long one, so bear with me. This situation happened about 2 weeks ago and I've gone from fully trusting her to deeply doubting her. My wife and I met when I was 19 and we fell in love quite quickly. She had a 4-month-old child from a previous relationship. That father hasn't been in the picture since I've known her. Ever since I was a kid I wanted to be a father, but I have a genetic disorder I don't wish to pass on, so adoption was just great with me. Anyhow, we've been just like your normal family every day since then. We got married last year. She was never super close with her family, but she did have a pair of cousins she was always kind of close to, and I had lots of fun getting to know them, and they seem like decent people. She did mention that one of them, Max, we'll call him, had when they were like 12 and 13 tried to kiss her, but she ran off. I asked her if she ever told anyone and she said she chalked it up to him being a stupid kid. We see him on Christmas every year and he seems like a normal dude. I actually liked him as her family is a bunch of stuffed shirts and he's down to earth. Recently they've reconnected and gone to a few family functions. We own one car and since I needed it for work he picked her up and drove her to these things. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary about this, they are cousins after all. Her behavior really didn't make any obvious changes. However, randomly as I was watching TV one night she came in and mentioned that I had friended a girl from my place of work. I accepted a friend request. We're a pretty open couple and things don't usually offend us. For instance, she'll remark on an attractive guy and make some sort of lewd remark, and I think nothing of telling her this woman was the new office. She didn't accuse me of cheating, but it felt like she was about to, which has never happened before. The reason I mention this is because I've read cheater accuse their partner as a projection or something. Anyway, these family outings were legit. The whole family posts pics on them on Facebook and the wife sends pics from the outings. There were 2 of these events and each time wife came home and was like a robot. Sex seemed normal if not quieter than usual, but as she suffers from depression she often gets cold every so often, and when I asked her if she was doing alright she chalked it up to that. Well, 2 weeks ago she leaves for work and as it was my day off I puttered around the house, dropped the boy off at school and came home to check my email. On Facebook I saw that I had a message from her cousin. He and I had recently discussed going out to see a farm team baseball game and I thought he was getting back to me. The message reads, "I'd like to see you on your knees." I was confused as hell until I realized that my wife was still signed in and it was her he was talking to. I wanted to kill him. I instantly rushed and read through their chat log and it's filled with him creeping on her, and while she is saying things like "but I'm married," and "no I'm married," these read like very thin no's, like she is saying no because she has to, not because she wants to. I'm disgusted and absolutely floored about it. But since none of them mention anything happening yet and she is denying him, albeit kindly, I can't exactly say she's cheating. Well, when she gets home and our son is put to bed I confront her over the situation. She instantly breaks down into hysterics and tears, saying things like, "I didn't do anything, I didn't know how to tell you. I was just hoping he stopped." Now she and I both suffered childhood sexual abuse from family friends. We've both went to years of therapy for it, and for that reason we have very good communication skills when it comes to comfort and boundaries and how to express ourselves about unwanted advances. I love her, and I wanted to believe her and that he was just being a creep, but the way she didn't tell me and acted seemingly normal leads me to believe something else was going on. I told her that I believed her and asked her if I could message him to tell him to back off and how disgusted I am that they are cousins, or if she would prefer to tell him and handle it herself. She first expressed that she would tell him that I knew and not to call her, but her resolve cracked as she was confident this would just stop. I was furious about that but didn't express it and told her that knowing she wasn't going to, I was going to give him a peace of mind. This is my wife. If she's being harassed I will end it, and if she's not being harassed she's cheating on me. So I messaged him. He saw it but made no reply. The wife says I should have let her handle the situation, and I told her there was no way I was going to keep quiet in the face of this. She seemed to understand and expressed in the end that I was probably right to confront him because she didn't know how. All seemed to return to normal, but 3 days later I come home and she's crying. I ask her what's wrong and she said it's Max, you should have let me handle it. I messaged him yesterday and he won't talk to me. We had the conversation again about me not sitting idly by when somebody is harassing my wife. She gave me a look, it wasn't much and it was only for a second, but it gave me the impression that she didn't consider it harassment. We end the discussion in agreement that I handled it how any man would handle it. 2 days later I'm coming to bed late like 2 a.m. as I was finishing up some work. I hear her on the phone with somebody kind of chuckling. This is not normal. Told me it was her mom and had something to do with our kid's birthday which I didn't buy, but at this point, I've begun playing stupid so I can observe the situation from a place where she feels comfortable. The next day she is crying again and at this point, I've really had it, she's been unstable for 2 weeks now. When I asked her if this is about Max again she says she tried to call and apologize for not handling the situation herself and that he still isn't talking to her. I admit it. I snapped. I told her that either he was abusing her or she was cheating on me and I caught them. Won the couch tonight obviously. I wanted to believe her, but I'm not a moron. I'm essentially laying here with my finger on the button waiting for some solid truth because if this is what it's feeling more and more like, I'm about to go 95,000 megata nuclear on the both of them. I don't blame you for being suspicious. This is messed up but at least you guys have tried to handle it through therapy. I'd keep researching but at some point, if you have no evidence then see what your wife was hoping would happen. Why does she feel the need to preserve the relationship with a creep? We haven't gone to therapy for this. I mentioned that she and I were both abused as preteens in uninvolved scenarios. We both went through extensive therapy because of this and have talked about our abuse together and what steps and tools we got to move past and move on. I brought it up because we've never had trouble communicating when something is bothering us, which makes her inability to do so now suspicious to me. Apart from the obvious DNA thing, this is why incest is illegal and largely considered to be abuse. It's possible that they've been carrying on a completely consensual affair for years, but it could also be that the family tie really fucks with her head and she can't reconcile the cousin that she's been close with all her life with the man that also, at the very least, harasses her. You also mentioned that she wasn't close with the rest of her family when she was younger. That could be a factor, like she didn't receive a whole lot of familial affection growing up so she put up with his creepy advances in exchange for having some sense of family. Obviously I'm doing armchair psychology with only a few paragraphs of the story to go off of though. You're more familiar with the situation than any of us, so ultimately it's up to what you think. What I'd suggest is to have a serious discussion about all of this without framing it as you accusing her of infidelity, even though that would be what you're looking to find out. If she's already in a lot of distress over this situation, which sounds likely, adding accusations won't help get to the bottom of it all. I'd recommend some form of therapy for her or for you two as a couple. That's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna get up in the morning, make some coffee and let her know this has to be dealt with. I still don't know how it all got started. She talks like it came out of the blue, but their earliest contact is him offering oral sex, and I refuse to believe a man as seemingly normal as him would just start with that. I know creeps, I know how they behave. They usually try to ease into their game, not come at you full force out the gate. I don't know if it's a product of my paranoid brain looking to connect dots that aren't there, but I'm really starting to believe that they were involved and that she is upset because I broke them up. How the hell do I articulate that without making an accusation? She knows I love her, she knows she can trust me with anything, she knows I would do anything in my power to save her from being tormented. We've both explored the darkest corners of our abuse together. I know how she was abused in details I wish I didn't know, so it's not a matter of her not being able to trust me with darkness. The only conclusion I can come to know that is that she's committing incest and cheating on me. I feel like I'm damn suffocating the longer this goes on. This is her family member, someone she has loved and admired as a member of the family her whole life. It can be difficult to cut ties and admit that someone you've cared about for so long is a bad person. To me, it doesn't sound like she's cheating. She seems devastated and scared. This is something that could do a lot of damage to her entire family, if they caught wind of it. Please try to calm down and see things from your wife's perspective. Creating brash accusations against her and making her feel even worse about a situation she's already torn up about is not helping anything. I've been very calm about this. Up until the second time I saw her upset that she couldn't contact him. I was suspicious beforehand, but I always spoke to her as though she was the victim of unwanted advances. I was sexually assaulted by a member of my family when I was young, and I've never been upset that I couldn't get in contact with them. That is why I am now having doubts. If she was just crying about the situation and falling apart, I would be 100% in her corner with her. Upset that she can't talk to him has me thinking that she was about to have an affair or was, and I broke them up. I forgot to mention this in the op, but he's married with a newborn child in his care. The fact that I haven't stormed over to his house and let everyone know what a piece of shit he is, to me is an indication that I'm pretty calm about it. If she was cheating, why would she keep shutting down his FB messages? It honestly sounds like this is a trauma response. I know you said you're also a survivor, but everybody processes their trauma differently. Sometimes when things happen that reflect previous trauma, like a survivor of incestual childhood assault being repeatedly sexually harassed by a family member, we regress into emotional states of our previous trauma. Maybe when her cousin is sending her these nasty messages, she feels again like a powerless child that feels like they can't say no. I'm not saying it's okay how defensive she's being with her cousin in relation to your relationship. I'm saying trauma is really fucked up, and assuming that her feeling complex feelings about a situation that mirrors her abuse automatically equaling cheating is wrong. I know everyone processes things differently, but she almost seems like she's mad at me for stepping in. I thought this might have been a problem. That is why I asked herself initially if she wanted to tell him to stop and handle this or if she wanted me to. When it looked like she wasn't going to do that on her own, I acted to stop, with her initial permission, because if it is abuse and unwanted, I will not sit idly by and allow it to go on. I love her. If someone is hurting her, I will stop them from doing that. I forgot to mention this, but I originally wanted to tell Max's wife, but she talked me back from that because they just had a baby. Which to me was all the more reason to say something, because she married a monster. She almost defending him, in the same way I might defend her, and that has me feeling hollow. Thanks for listening so far. If story have update, we will post here. Like and subscribe to our channel for upcoming stories.